Good afternoon. It is really a wonderful moment for both the Lynch School, but for the larger university and the broad Boston College community that we're going to be celebrating this afternoon. I'm David Quigley, Provost and Dean of Faculties, and it's a great pleasure to see so many around the room and to be here to celebrate really a momentous achievement and really something that has been many years, many decades in the works, recognizing the accomplishments that have led to this day and really thinking ahead about the good work that is enabled because of this extraordinary act of generosity and the children communities, the world that will be renewed, the hope that will be built because of this kind of support. Today we celebrate the anonymous gift that is named the Mary E. Walsh Center for Thriving Children. On behalf of all of us at Boston College, I want to express our collective gratitude for this really world-changing investment in Mary's vision, in the Lynch School of Education and Human Development, and in her center's critical, path-breaking work to support students both in and out of school. Before I start the formal part of today's program, I do want to take a few moments to acknowledge a few of the special guests who are joining us today: university trustees, trustee associates and regents, a number of university officials, deans, vice presidents, and other leaders, our Walsh Center and Lynch School staff, the many partners and City Connects coordinators. I should make special note of Eugene Wall, who I think might have traveled further than anyone else in the hall today, president of Mary Immaculate College in Limerick in Ireland, across the Atlantic to be with us. I didn't want to miss this grand celebration. And of course, while we're all here and while we drew so many from around the Commonwealth and far beyond, we're here to thank and celebrate the Executive Director and former Daniel E. Kearns Chair in Urban Education and Innovative Leadership, Mary E. Walsh. Thank you so much. Perhaps the most challenging part of my responsibility is to kick off the program. I'm the AV guy, to play a video for you that showcases the life-changing work of City Connects, which is the flagship program, as we all know, of the Mary E. Walsh Center for Thriving Children. I hope you'll enjoy seeing the profound impact that City Connects has had on transforming the lives of so many students around the world.
Opportunity is possibility. For an educated student, the possibilities are endless. Yet for many children, barriers prevent opportunity. Food insecurity, lack of safe housing, the absence of enrichments in music, art, or sports. City Connects strives to make sure every child gets the support they need, building on their strengths, providing them the chance to thrive. For over 20 years, City Connects evidence-based practice has worked inside schools to connect each student with the right service at the right time. Every City Connects school has a trained coordinator who is a licensed social worker or school counselor. After consulting with families, teachers, and the students themselves, each child receives a personalized plan, one that capitalizes on programs already available, whether in the school or the broader community. For one child, that may include eyeglasses, an after-school baseball program, and improved access to food at home. For another child, it could be an art class, a mentor, and literacy support. With years of longitudinal data, the City Connects approach has been rigorously evaluated and has shown measurable improvement in the life outcomes of students. The benefits of the program also go beyond the individual students. City Connects aims to expand the successful evidence-based approach to more schools to reach as many students as possible. Every student has strengths and needs. It is critical to recognize them and connect each child to the supports that will allow them to thrive. The time is now for students, for opportunity, for City Connects.
I should note that that video, inspiring video and its content, was the work of the Walsh Center team. Thank you for putting that together. As I think so many of us around the room recognize, it is so fitting for the center to be named in Mary's honor. For 3 decades now, she's been building an extraordinary program that has made substantive intellectual contributions through her and her colleagues' rigorous research, through a novel and imaginative approach to implementation, and to a commitment through all of her work to innovation in the best interests of students and communities in service of improving the lives of those tens of thousands of children over these many years. The Walsh Center today serves as a hub for integrated student support. It leverages the insights from science and innovation to connect development, learning, economics, to discover pragmatic and effective ways to transform students' lives for the better. Under Mary's eloquent leadership, the center and its signature long-standing initiative, City Connects, have grown to serve today 45,000 students annually in public, charter, as well as Catholic schools. The program has brought educational reform and opportunity to schools in several states, not just Massachusetts, but Indiana, New York, and has even impacted students globally, as I mentioned earlier, with the partnerships in Ireland. City Connects, which marked its 20th year milestone a couple of years ago in 2021, continues to help teachers and the schools in which they work to provide integrated support to address the needs of students in a range of settings where they serve under-resourced neighborhoods and families. Mary's abiding commitment to developing the whole child embodies the larger university's mission of formative education. This gift will ensure that her vision for the center and its ongoing and critical work will benefit children in the U.S. and beyond for many years, for generations to come. We will hear soon from Mary, who I know we're all here to listen to. But first, I would like to introduce someone who through his extraordinary and visionary leadership, has lifted the Lynch School of Education and Human Development to new heights. Dean Stanton Morton, who I'll ask to join me up here in a moment. The inaugural Charles F. Donovan, S.J. Dean of the Lynch School of Education and Human Development, has been with the university since 2016, including his 7th year in the deanship. And one of the pleasures of my 25 years now at Boston College is had the opportunity to serve on a few search committees with today's honoree, Mary Walsh. I remember the first one around 2 decades ago for an academic vice president. Most recently, we were together just next door as we were looking for the senior vice president who has emerged to lead our advancement efforts. We've been on various other committees, but in 2015 to 2016, she was a member, but certainly the wise member of that Dean Search Committee. And we had a number of colleagues, a number of off-campus interviews. We were down in the waterfront, if I remember right, where we were doing the airport interviews. And at the end of became Dean Wortham, at that time Associate Dean at the Graduate School of Education at the University of Pennsylvania, Mary Walsh looked across the table, didn't have to say anything, but those of us who've worked with Mary, when she gave you a look of recognizing quality as opposed to its opposite, Stan might be the person we want to pursue as the next leader for the Lynch School at that time of education. It was a wonderful moment of recognition that allowed consensus to build pretty quickly. The provost at the table didn't have to do too much heavy lifting when you had a well-respected and eminently reasonable colleague bringing all that wisdom to bear on the conversation. So back to my introduction for the dean who got hired now for the Senate. An award-winning teacher, scholar, and as well as documentary film producer, Dean Wortham joined us in 2016, as I mentioned, and his research spans the fields of education, anthropology, we were discussing earlier today, linguistics, psychology, sociology, as well as philosophy. Since joining the Lynch School, Dean Wortham has been a catalyst for furthering efforts, both within the Lynch School in Campion Hall, across this Jesuit Catholic University, and far beyond, efforts in formative education. And he's fostered innovative approaches, opening new frontiers for faculty, students, colleagues on campus to think about how to partner in service of the common good. It was one of those wonderful moments in my quarter century at Boston College where we needed an outsider to arrive and remind us and open up to us some of the sense of possibility, the resources in the Jesuit tradition that we draw from in so many ways, to think about some of the conversations about formation and whole child education and how we could harness those to address concerns, vexing concerns, not just for Jesuit and Catholic institutions, but for all schools, K through PhD, public, private, independent, charter, and Dean Wortham's leadership partnering with Mary Walsh in some important ways has really opened up possibilities, not just for Lynch, but for this larger academic community. So it is my great honor and pleasure to ask Dean Wortham to join me up here for the next set of remarks.
It's wonderful to be here to celebrate Mary Walsh and her accomplishments. It's wonderful to be able to celebrate this transformative philanthropy that's allowed us to name the center in Mary's honor. Mary is, as David said, the executive director of the Mary E. Walsh Center for Thriving Children. She's a faculty member in the Lynch School of Education and Human Development. She has also been the inaugural Daniel Kearns Chair in Urban Education and Innovative Leadership in the Lynch School of Education. She specializes in the clinical applications of developmental science, and it's important to see these two sides of what Mary does. She's an outstanding researcher. She has extremely high intellectual standards for herself, for her students, for her coworkers, but she's also completely committed to transforming the world and helping young people develop. And that combination is not as common. We have lots of colleagues who are really committed to making a difference in the world, and lots of them do wonderful work, but it's not always connected to really rigorous research. And we have lots of wonderful researchers who are really focused on doing high-level work, but they can't quite figure out how to connect it to the world. But Mary has managed to do both of those things at an extremely high level, and as a result, build this remarkable intervention of City Connects that we have all been hearing about today. City Connect started more than 20 years ago. It started here in Boston to address non-academic barriers to learning and thriving for young people. So Mary had been working in the schools with educators, and she has always had a vision for the whole child, for trying to understand how it is that young people need to develop and thrive in various ways, relationally, ethically, spiritually, as well as intellectually. And she also saw, earlier than many others, how these other non-academic factors played a crucial role in impeding academic development and other sorts of growth. And she came up with what seems, in retrospect, a relatively simple idea, but no one else was doing it, and other people had not figured out how to do it. And even to this day, her model in City Connects is far more effective than other models that people have been developing. So the notion is simple. Every single child deserves a group of adults who have expertise to figure out what that particular child needs. We all have different strengths and weaknesses. We all have things that are getting in our way. And very often, the thing that's getting in a child's way is something that's relatively simple to fix. But if nobody knows how to focus on it, we tend to make up stories about what's wrong with the child or what's going on, and we give up. Her model simply says every kid, every year, gets a comprehensive look and conversation about what is it that this child needs, whether it be glasses, or whether it be emotional support at home, or whether it be shoes or clothes, or help with a particular approach to math, or whatever the thing is, that child is provided with access to resources to be able to help with whatever that challenge is. And very often the things that are holding kids back are things where if you provide the right intervention at the right time, all of a sudden everything works much better. Eyeglasses are an obvious example. If you can't see the board, if you can't read the book well, and you're too embarrassed or nobody's noticed or nobody's helped you out or your parents can't afford to get them for you, then you do very badly in school no matter how smart you are. But if somebody figures out, oh, this child needs glasses, then all of a sudden that child can reach his or her potential in a way that wasn't possible before. Given everything else going on in schools, given everything else going on in our lives, often that child does not get access to it, and then the child doesn't have the opportunities that he or she would have had. But in the schools that Mary and City Connects works in those schools, every child has an opportunity for some sort of assessment or conversation about what the child needs. So as I said, a simple idea, but no one else had managed to put this into practice in an effective way. And City Connects has been evaluated many times by various different people, and it does this far more effectively than other interventions. And it's far more cost-effective because of another simple idea. How about if the school partners with other agencies and resources in the community in order to provide the glasses or the food or the emotional support or the counseling or the whatever it is that that particular child needs. So by virtue of taking advantage of the community and the resources available in the community, City Connects manages to meet those needs in a cost-effective way. And this intervention has been extraordinarily successful. As David said, almost 50,000 children, now in Ireland, across half a dozen states. And that effect is reverberating. All these children are able to go on and accomplish things in life, give back to society and others in ways that they couldn't have done if we hadn't had it. I want to say just a couple of things about the character with which Mary approaches these things. So when she built City Connects initially in Boston, she worked with educators, administrators, she worked with parents, she worked with policymakers, and she created a partnership. Mary has many strengths. She's an excellent researcher, she's an excellent teacher, she's an excellent colleague, she does many things well. But her capacity to connect with people, to inspire them with her passion about what she's doing, and to involve them together in the project that she was building. She applied that in Boston when she built the first City Connect schools, or Boston Connects as it was called at the time. And that capacity for building partnerships with various people has allowed her to have such an enormous impact on all these children, all these schools, all these educators. So the partnership, the capacity for galvanizing support and building connections and listening carefully to others and learning from practitioners about what works is one crucial dimension of her work that's allowed her to be successful. As David said, this work in City Connects and in the larger center is also deeply connected to the mission of Boston College. One of the apostolic preferences of the Society of Jesus is walking with the excluded, that we all owe people in the world who have not been treated fairly, who have not had opportunities that the rest of us have had. It is our responsibility to try to work with them and lift them up and give them the chance to thrive and move forward in their own lives. And City Connects was built from the beginning with an eye toward helping children who had not had opportunities, who needed a hand up in order to be able to move forward. And that commitment to justice, to trying to make the society a more just place, is something that's been at the core of Mary's work and is also at the core of what we do here at Boston College. David mentioned formative education, the notion that we should focus on development of whole people, people's ethical, spiritual, relational, emotional development, as well as their intellectual development. As you all know, people who have spent time with her, Mary is very focused on intellectual development, kids learning the curriculum and doing well academically. But she also is very focused on the other aspects of what it is to be human and fostering this more holistic development. And that's something that fits very well with BC's mission to focus on whole person formation. It's something that City Connects builds on, is central to. And so I've been grateful to have that as the preeminent exemplar of whole person work that we do at the Lynch School so well. Finally, I want to mention the research enterprise. So Mary runs regular research meetings every week with a group of faculty from the Lynch School, and she brings in experts from outside as well. And she insists on all programs nowadays that receive external funding have to be evaluated. You have to do some research on, is my program working? But City Connects, the work they do is not just evaluation. It's not just, is my program working? Because Mary is committed to the basic science behind it. She's committed to understanding, how does development work? How do children develop as whole people across multiple dimensions? How does that development occur in different contexts? How do different sorts of factors interconnect in order to foster development or not foster development? And how do we get a broader picture of how it is that young people can be helped to move forward in their lives? And that sort of basic research, something that she's deeply committed to, really distinguishes City Connects and the Mary Walsh Center, because it's a place where we do this sort of systematic investigation at the same time as they are building this intervention and helping actual kids and working with City Connects coordinators and figuring out how it is that we can foster development for specific people in specific places. So this combination of systematic, no compromises, basic research, together with, in the schools, on the ground, working with real people, making a big difference for kids and functioning in partnership with educators. Doing both of those things at the same time is very unusual. And I know that when Mary comes up, she's going to introduce a panel. We would have loved to have Mary come up and talk a little bit and give you a speech and hear from her, but in characteristic Mary Walsh fashion, she said, no, I want something substantive. I want some intellectual substance in this celebration. And I'm going to invite some excellent colleagues to talk with me about what does it mean for young people to thrive, and how can we study that systematically, and how is it that we marshal evidence in a way that we can do it better. So, Mary, thank you so much for all that you've done. We're deeply grateful for your work and all the people that you've touched, and it's wonderful to be part of this celebration. Please.
What I'm going to say is that it obviously is not just about Mary E. Walsh and the Center. It's about many, many people. Eons ago, we and many other people recognized what Stanton was just talking about, that children can't learn if they're hungry, if they're homeless, if they're devoid of opportunities to develop their skills and interests. This led to my setting up with my colleague, Pat Dinatale, who's here today. Pat was a principal of Boston Public Schools, and I knew squat about how to put anything on the ground in schools. I had a lot of ideas, I knew a lot of developmental theory, but I didn't know how to work in a school. And Pat, who also understood how children develop, and also understood the importance of research, synced up with what I was thinking, and we made a team. And we developed City Connects, very frankly, on 2 cups of coffee in the morning at 8:10 in my office. And we'd say, you know, what's it going to do today? Where are we going with this? Some of you who were grad students in those days probably remember. We thought we could get the right services and supports and enrichments to the right children if we built systemic linkages across schools, families, and communities. And we realized in about 20 minutes in our coffee sessions that it was way bigger than us. 2 people weren't going to do this. And we reached out over time to so many of you in this audience today. And that's what made it happen. So, honestly, the name on the center today might say Walsh, but the name only is a stand-in for all the people in this room and not in this room who have helped make this possible. Because this is not a one-woman operation by any stretch. Happily, today is the day to say thank you. A profound thank you to our donors who put permanence and stability under our feet. And that means a lot in a university whose generosity of spirit is so deep that they didn't want their names on the center. To quote them, the name of the people who do the work belongs on the center. And so if we were really honest today, it would be Walsh, Dinatale, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, would be a really long list. We want to thank a lot of people today. The schools, the community agencies, and the families who are our neighbors in the Alston, Brighton, and Roxbury communities who are willing at the very beginning to engage with us for nearly 2 years to plan the design of the intervention. The children and families and teachers, principals in over 300 public, Catholic, and charter schools in 25 cities across 9 states, as well as schools in the poorest neighborhood of Dublin, Ireland, who have all reached out to us to implement City Connects with us in their settings. And special thanks today to President Eugene Wall and his colleagues Tracy and Ann, who crossed the pond to be with us today. They made it possible for us at Mary Immaculate College, which is a teacher's college, the biggest teacher's college in Ireland. They made it possible for us to implement in Ireland. They are our lead partners there. We have more thanks, and I won't be long. To our Noah's Ark of a staff. Researchers, practitioners, and school-based coordinators representing multiple disciplines and professions, all with remarkable talents. A special mention is in order of the late Dr. George Medelis, our first director of research. He put us on the research map. We thank our funders who initially took a mighty risk. I didn't tell them that to wait. And as we garnered research evidence that the strategy was working, they kept us moving forward. We hope they have seen some of the return on their investment. To our numerous university colleagues and our thought partners, faculty colleagues in my own and multiple departments at Boston College, and those in other universities, especially across the river folks, who have directly or indirectly contributed to our work in a variety of ways. And to the BC support staff, some in the so-called back offices, our own administrators at the center, Mary and Brenda, and those in various departments at BC, too numerous to mention, who always found a way to accommodate our often atypical requests. We know You know who you are, and we suspect you often said when we came calling, oh no. You've always found a way to do workarounds, and we're grateful. To the BC administrators, our president, Father Leahy, our provost, David Quigley, and our current dean, Stanton Wortham, as well as the dean who long ago helped us get into all of this business, Mary Brayback, who's here today. And their support has been staunch and unwavering, and we are enormously grateful. BC has given us sometimes more than they know. Finally, we thank the Boston College students, particularly the research assistants in our lab, the doctoral, masters, and undergraduate students from Lynch and other schools, many of whom have long graduated and are here today. And one of them told me her daughter is going to be a freshman at BC. That's how long ago it is. How long this has been going on. The graduate students and the undergrads brought us new energy and critical new ideas every single day. We have been at this work for 23 years, but it has never felt more urgent, particularly in this era when our children have experienced profound disruption. Our work is informed by developmental science, especially the research that tells us that if we create the right condition in a child's environment, we can alter the course of that child's development. Not radically, but sufficiently to produce measurable outcomes. Better scores academically, high graduation rates, and entrance and completion of post-secondary education. Ultimately, having some of the right conditions in which to grow and develop constitutes the basis of hope for these children. A hope that is so critical in the face of the enormous challenges that these children face every single day. So we are pleased and privileged to do the work that we've been doing. And the we is the long we. It's all of the people that have been part of this for so very long. So it's the Walsh, the Natalie, Foley, we can go on with the names that belong up here, and Brayback also. So thank you very, very much for coming. It's my pleasure to introduce the panel that you really want to hear from as we've been carrying on. We have a wonderful panel. I told them these are 3 Augusta people who agreed to come today. And I told them they had 4 minutes each. But I'm delighted to introduce the participants, and if they would come up to the stage.